Hi, welcome back to another episode. It's been a minute, and I know I start every episode saying that, but it's because it's like, bruh. Hi, I'm not even going to say that anymore. Like, let's just stop saying that, right? Like, let's just get into it and say hello. Hello. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully good. I am so happy that I'm finally sitting down here. What time is it? It is 10:48 p.m. and it's Friday night. Cory and I just got back from hanging out with my parents for celebrating Cory's birthday. And his birthday was in May. But we celebrated today because my mom and dad have been like meaning to take him out, and we just never got around to just like celebrating his birthday. You know what I mean? Specifically, we went to a restaurant inside of a hotel in the city that I live in. So we went there, and apparently it's haunted, and it is. We talked to some of the employees there, and that place is haunted, and it was a little creepy. We explored the area, and it was really cute. Honestly, I'm like, I want to stay here. This place is really cute. So we probably will. I mean, it's really close to our house, so we'll probably take a drive, spend some time there. I don't know. Sounds kind of fun. Anyways, so we just got back, and I told myself, like, okay, tonight you are recording an episode no matter how sleepy you are, because right now I'm a little sleepy, especially because I have a food coma. Like, bro, I had some like pasta, so I'm a little full, but it's okay. It's all good. So today I wanted to kind of piggyback off of the last episode that I recorded. If you didn't listen to it, obviously it's there for the listening. I believe I titled it, "Why Am I Like This?" Because at the time of recording it, I was just so frustrated at myself. Like, I was in the thick of frustration. Like, dang it. Like, why can I not complete a task? Like, why am I like struggling to get things done? Like, just like constant, just disappointment in myself, and just like confusion as to why I can't get certain things done practically, and then just dealing with the mental torment that I was putting myself through, and just like the struggle. The struggle was real, and it is real, and it's a constant battle between my flesh and my spirit, honestly. So we talked about that. We talked about practicality, like making a list. And so we'll be discussing that again in this episode, and just like practicality as far as like, well, how do you tackle a list? And I'll be talking about a little bit. I mean, I'll just get into it right now. So I did have a few people that reached out to me and explained that they definitely can relate to, you know what? I'm going to turn down the second mic because you can kind of hear it. So, I had a few people that reached out to me and explained that they can definitely relate to the inability of completing a list. They would make a list and then they just don't finish it, or they just get sidetracked and just start doing like a whole nother thing. So that was really cool that I reached some sort of common ground with a few people. And my cousin actually reached out to me and gave me a tip about, okay, well, if you can't complete a list, maybe you're getting overwhelmed, something so simple that you can do is literally chop down the list to doing one thing. And I'm like, duh, like, okay, that's a good one. And I have gotten to that point too. I recently started doing that. I'm like, okay, well, let me just stick to one thing at a time. And yeah, that works, So if that's something you even thought about, like, give that a shot. I'm going to have Cory hop on here at some point in this episode to kind of give his tips on making a list. This guy lives off of lists, and I've learned a lot just from watching him throughout everyday life, setting alarms, making lists every single day. And it's really played a huge part in his life, and I've learned a lot from him, like I said. And I think that he could share the success in that, and you guys could really benefit from that. So I'll get him in the room in a little bit. But I did want to talk about what I've been kind of doing to kind of help myself out in this situation that I'm going through, and just like what I feel like I'm getting there. You know what I mean? So I started a devotional on being focused and just focusing on the work that's in front of you. So a devotional that I started, they based it off of the book of Nehemiah in chapter 4. Pretty much Nehemiah was rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem, and he has these workers with him, and they're all rebuilding this wall. And there were these there was a few people who were completely opposed of this, and they were the Ammonites, I think is how you say it. And they thought that their project, if you will, was completely like ridiculous. So like tormented them, they laughed at them. They were just like, man, that wall ain't nothing. Like if a fox jumped over that wall gonna tumble down. And they were like, eee, like, dang, like that was a low blow back in the day. Like that wall is not even like, that wall's stupid, you know? So they were like, man, like these people are really out here trying to like mess with us, you know? And these opposers, pretty much like the opposition, was plotting against Nehemiah and his builders, trying to rebuild this wall to, they were just opposed of them. And so what they wanted to do was just like plot against them and figure out what they can do to take this wall down, and take these people down, and just torment them and really like bug them, right? So Nehemiah got wind of that. And so the first thing he did was pray. So he prayed, and he asked for God's protection over them, and he asked for God to do what he will with these people who are opposed of them. He asked for God to just deal with them. You know what I mean? So he's like, all right, God, like just, you see what they're doing. Just deal with them. Deal with the way that they're acting. Like, this is the work that you have called me to do. Please deal with them. But along with that, what Nehemiah put into place was protection. And so what he did was he set up guards around the building to guard the project that they had at hand, that God wanted them to do, rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. So he had a guard around the work, and each worker, each builder of the wall, one hand working and the other hand with a weapon in their hand. So in this devotional, they were pretty much talking about like when you're doing good work and it's been difficult for you to either complete it because there's so much distractions in your life. Be aware of those distractions and know what to do about it. Be aware of the distractions and pray. For me, it's just like, it was huge because I'm like, dang, like I'm really not going, like if I know my struggles, I need to be aware of that, and I need to be ready and armed to fight this battle that I have against my flesh and against all these weaknesses that I have, you know what I mean? So that was like a huge takeaway, is that like I cannot go into, like if staying focused is a battle and like something really hard for me to do, I need to admit that, recognize that, pray, ask for God's strength, and I need to just be ready and just be completely armed, you know, and just be ready to do the work that's set before me. So that was something that I just thought that story was like super, super relatable. You know what I mean? Obviously I'm not out here building walls, but I'm trying to just make content like this and have some like vulnerable conversation so that people can open up, or at least have their own conversation with themselves. You know what I mean? Like I'm just out here trying to do the thing. So I'm just glad that I read about that story. And, so that's been like, that was like, what's the word? Comforting. And it made me it made me pretty excited, just because I know that like, wow, like that's something that I can put to effect, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's kind of weird that like there's so many different stories in the Bible, and it's just so interesting that story spoke so loud and like, you know, in volume to me, to just recognize that like you know what you're battling against. And for me, it's just like my weaknesses and like my flesh and, you know, all the things that my flesh is telling me to do. And then you should just be aware of that. And I am, but I feel like I just didn't realize that I need to be prepared to fight. Like, this is something that I need to fight. You know what I mean? So that's that. So there was another thing. So with that, there comes a lot of like guilt and shame. Just like, I can't get this thing done. I feel so terrible about it. And I'm like, man, like, is God disappointed in me? Like, is there something that I'm doing that he's just not proud of? And I just started like kind of being down on myself in that way. And then one day I was watching this video. Literally, it took just the gospel to like remind me of just how good God is and how there's nothing that I can do to earn his love. And I was like, dang, like, I put so much pressure on myself to just do right and like do. And it's like I know that it's not by works that I'm saved or that I can just earn God's love, but it's through grace. You know what I mean? It's through what Jesus already did. Like, it's so crazy, like how often I can forget that, and I could just get lost in like day to day, how I can just so easily just like let the world kind of creep into my thought patterns, which is why it's so important to just be reading the Bible, and also just like talking about what you're going through. You know what I mean? So there's that. Like, it took the gospel to just get me to realize that there's something that I can do to earn God's love. So with that, I also want to like discuss about being like a way that you can also not feel this like pressure to do everything perfect, because I don't expect myself. I'm not going to be perfect. Like, as long as I'm breathing and living, like, I'm not going to be perfect, and I am going to keep on struggling. But the story with Nehemiah, like, I'm glad that I have that to like cling to and just to keep remembering, like, you got to fight. This is a battle. You got to fight. And it's not going to be easy. Battle's not easy, right? That's why you're armored up, because you could possibly get hit. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's important that if you, like, just be careful. This is my encouragement to like everybody, just like a reminder. And I know we've heard this many times, but being careful about what you're ingesting, in your day-to-day life, whatever you're watching or listening to, it can have an effect on your behaviors, and it can be something super small. I was trying to think of an example of how that affected me. And I don't know if anyone has ever watched the Bad Girls Club, but it's like this like crazy reality show where these girls just like it's kind of like The Real World, but like for all girls, and like all these girls get into a house and like they're all talking about like fighting, and then they all start fighting. So I remember watching it like when I was in junior high, and there's a meme about this, and it's real. Like it's kind of funny, but it just goes to show how much you can watch something and it kind of like leaves an effect on the way that you are. But anyway, I have another story about that. Anyway, so at Bad Girls Club, like, they're just fighting all the time, and you're just like watching, and you could be like me, like, I'm not a fighter, like, I might like, but I'm not a fighter. I've never been in a fight, and I feel like it's just because like God's hand over my life, because he knows that I would get like you know what I mean? And I feel like who really wants to fight me? Like, the heck? People are like, nah, let's give her a break. You know what I'm saying? Like, she ain't really, I don't want to know with nobody, you know? But anyway, I don't know. So what was I going to say? I remember watching it, and if you watch like a whole season, not even a whole season, like if you watch like 3 episodes, you like turn off the TV and you're like, yo, I just feel so gangster right now. Like, I dare somebody to mess with me. Like, you start like shadow boxing, like you're like in the mirror, like, what's up? Like, you act like all of a sudden, like, you're this big and bad, like, bad girl, whatever you want to call it. Like, you just act like you're about that life, but you're not. But, like, you're watching so much of this type of, like, crazy, raunchy television. Like, you start acting like, you know what? I am about this life. But nah, bro, like, you're not about that life. And you don't want nothing with that life, because it's just going to cause you destruction. Like, you don't want that. And it reminded me of this Bible verse. I'm going to look it up really quick. But it's in Matthew 6. Let's see. I wrote it down. Matthew 6:22. The eye is a lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. That's pretty straightforward, right? But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body would be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So it's just about being very cautious about what you allow into your life and whatever you allow. Just whatever you're allowing into your mind. So for me, I feel like it's really popular for people to just kind of like, not glamorize, but just kind of like hype up the idea of completing a to-do list and just like, here's my to-do list, here's what I got to get done today, I'm about to get all of this done, you already know, we're on it, da 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 da. So there's not too on social media, there's not too many people out there sharing the hard times, you know what I mean? So, and there are people who do that, but like for the most part, it's all about just like getting it done, hustle hard, you know, that like hustle, whatever, the hustle culture, whatever it's called, like just getting things done. But not enough conversations on how, you know, just like that process, the journey to do things like that, to really succeed. So I don't know, maybe just my, I don't know. I think it's just like my own brokenness, but also just like seeing like the pressure, maybe subconsciously, like it just kind of like seeped into my mind of like, this is what you should be doing. So when I wasn't doing it the way that the world is portraying that you should be doing it, I kind of started like feeling bad about that. So, although it's not always realistic, it's like if you're on social media enough, it kind of feels like this is the way you should be acting. You know what I mean? So I know for me, I need to just, this is actually something Cory and I were talking about. Like we want to kind of take like a little break from social media and just getting off of it and just protecting our home, protecting our minds, and just clearing our mind of everything that's like going on in the world, not trying to conform to it, you know, as easy as it is, because we obviously work in the world, like we're living in it, like it's a constant battle, it's a constant struggle. But yeah, just be aware of what you're watching, what you're consuming, and compare it with the Bible and like with what God says. You know, as far as like how to live your life and how to be honoring to him. So there's that. I had to remind myself that, you know, we can't rely on our works. You know, as much as I say like, okay, today I'm going to wake up and read my Bible. But if I don't, that doesn't mean God doesn't love me. That doesn't mean God doesn't love you. You know what I'm saying? Like he loves us. He loves us. He sent his son to die for us in our place. So stop thinking that you're like earning your way to heaven because you read your Bible or because you read it for an hour. Like it's not about that. Like it's really not. So that's another like small thing that I feel like I've known this, but like sometimes you just need to like remind yourself. Like you need to go back and you need to like remind yourself of the truth. You know what I'm saying? So don't rely on your works, because your works cannot save you. That's why Jesus died. You're not justified by your works, and we're saved through grace because of what Jesus did for you on the cross. Something else that me and Cory have been talking, is just like putting things in place so that you can bear good fruit. Something that we want to get better at, like I said, is just our social media consumption. Honestly, that's pretty much the biggest thing right now. We talked about it earlier today. So, depending on how much we're like doing that, really can throw our day off. You know what I'm saying? Like it can really suck energy out of me. With Cory, he likes to do that like at night and just like throws all of his energy at night into it. He's usually pretty productive throughout the day, and that's because he just has like those great habits of like making a list. And for me, like I'm struggling to stay on the list, and like throughout the day, I'll like be on social media, you know, and it's just not good for me. So there's that. I'm going to bring Cory in right now because he's going to talk about a few practical tips that he does in order for him to do what he's got to do to get things done. So I'm going to call him right now. Let's call him. Wow, you guys, he's not answering. Gosh, what if he fell asleep? You guys want to hear his voicemail?
Hey, you reached Cory's phone. I hope you're having a great day so far. Sorry I missed your call.
All right, so he's not answering.
Hey, there we go.
Cool.
Hey, Rihanna.
Hi, babe.
Sorry.
So I brought Cory in. I had to go to the living room because he didn't even have his phone on him.
I thought I left it in here, so I don't want to barge in.
It's okay. So I was telling the podcast that you have some, what I feel are practical steps and some pretty oh my God. Jeez.
Cool.
So I was saying that you have
Halloween.
some pretty cool systems in place to help you just be more productive throughout the day. You and I both aren't perfect. I was also mentioning how we need to be careful on what we're consuming throughout the day because it could really throw off our mental and our spiritual life. And it can also just be a huge distraction and kind of just drain our energy. And that's what it's done to me. So I talked about that. But, I don't know. What do you want to... What is there to say? You could just go off the top of your head. You want to talk about the spiritual aspect? Go ahead.
Well, some of the stuff that we were talking about just today, I think you may or may not have mentioned this already, but just getting rid of, or not getting rid of completely, but basically just doing.
You're all trying to he's trying to make his voice so deep right now.
Well, just talking
you know
about.
What I'm saying. Just stop. I'm just kidding. I don't even know you right now. We listen to your voicemail.
I'm your husband
on this podcast.
This is what they're used to.
Hey, sorry, couldn't come to the phone right now. It's on the podcast, babe. I'm just kidding. No, for real though, your voice sounds mad deep right now. I think it's just because the mic's really good. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
I mean, what we've been talking about recently, the last 2 days or so.
Yeah.
Just about, I don't know if we said completely fasting or basically just taking a very harsh cutback on social media, YouTube, Netflix, because it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And for me, what I do, some of the practical things Raina was talking about was, I mean, it's nothing mind-blowing, but
it's mind-blowing to some people, babe. All right? I'm just kidding.
And so, my system is definitely...
To me, it is, bro. I need some help. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
On the record. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, that's another thing we could talk about.
What?
I interrupt you, but I feel like it's welcome if we're having a conversation. Sorry, but go on.
Yeah, no, you can.
But you're so, nice. You're you will be quiet if I interrupt you, and you're you're interrupting me. But you're, nice about it, and I'm babe, you can interrupt me, and then, okay. I'm sorry. I'm ruining it for the people. Go ahead. I'm going to be quiet. Here, I'm going to lower my mic.
No, bring it. It's okay, babe.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so my system is nothing crazy. Basically, it's write something down when I think of it. And I have one list that's it's all of the things that are floating in my mind over the course of a few months. It's at some point I need to take care of this thing. It's not super pressing. So I have one list that's those items. And then I have another list on my phone that's this is what I'm doing today. So that might be 4, 5, 6 things. And I don't even knock all of those things off. A lot of the time it's I'll knock off 4 of the 6. You know what I mean? I did that today. I don't think I got to 1 or 2 items that I wanted to today.
How do you feel about that?
It's fine because I'm checking some things off and I'll move the things that
to the next list.
Excuse me. Yeah, to the next day or the next time I'm making a list of things to take care of. And what I have found is helpful, I don't always do this, but I'll put if I have 3 things to do today, it's grocery shopping, record something in the studio, and clean the bathrooms or clean the car. Sure, those are the 3 items. What I found is really helpful is take those 3 things that I need to get done on the list and then just plug them into my calendar. And so I'll put a day or 2 in advance. I'll put, okay, I'm going to clean the car at 4 p.m. I'm going to record from 1 to 3 p.m. I'm going to go grocery shopping at 10 a.m. You know what I mean? That way, okay, I know that these are the things I need to get done. This is where they're happening on my calendar. Mm-hmm. And that's worked really well for me. The thing that's been hard for me is, and this is like going into the whole like realm of productivity, but it's like when you have things that are just sitting stagnant on a to-do list. I'm like, I feel kind of passionate about this, but when I have things that are sitting stagnant on my to-do list for like
a month,
2 months, 3 months, it's like they've just been there. It's like, why is it even on this list if I'm not doing it? I don't really have a solution for that right now, to be honest, other than like maybe the solution is reevaluating
the priority.
Like, is this even important to me? Like, I on one of my lists that's like the 3 month long, whatever. It's like a long term list. One of the things is dry clean my down jacket and dry clean some jacket that you bought from the thrift store. So we have like a trash bag in our closet downstairs of these two jackets.
Trash bag. It's a grocery bag.
It's just a bag that has these two jackets that we need to get dry
cleaned. And they're both like,
and they've been in the closet for like 4 months.
Well, okay, so yeah,
are these jackets really important?
So tell me what. In July, I stumbled upon a thrift store, and I bought this, like, I think it's like a Coach or Gucci. I don't know.
Really?
I'm not about name brands. It's like I bought it because it's like, oh, it's a name brand. I would never buy this jacket, and it's like $10, so I'm gonna get it. And it's like a long like coat, I guess. And I was like, okay, it's cute. Like I could see me like putting this on over like a dress or something if I was going to like an event, which is funny to hear myself say that because I don't go to events.
We went to an event tonight.
So, babe, I wore jeans.
Did you tell your audience about it yet?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I bought this coat in the middle of summer, and I was like, I should take this dry cleaning, but let me put this away, and we'll do that later. It's later.
It's been way later.
And the cold seasons are coming, and we should get that done.
Yeah. Like, oh man, I don't know where
you have that on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, man.
And so it's good because I think I've built up a good habit of writing something down when I think of it. Like literally last night we were going to bed, remember? Like right after we said goodnight, I'm like, oh, babe, I need to write like 4 things down that just popped into my head.
That's crazy.
And I wrote down, like those 4 things onto a list.
Yeah.
Most of which I think I did today. And they were things that I knew I was already kind of due, but I knew I hadn't put them down on somewhere to refer to yet. Because, I mean, when I'm putting something on a list and or a calendar, I'm picturing it as like I'm taking it out of my mind.
Is this list on your phone? Or on a piece of paper?
Yeah, for me it's on my phone, but it can be on paper, phone, whiteboard, sticky note, all those. I like it on my phone because it syncs to my computer on my phone.
Yeah.
It's easy that way.
Just like...
Yeah, it's taking it, so it's no longer taking up RAM, random access memory, nerd term. It's no longer taking up space and energy in my mind, and I'm putting it on the phone.
How does that feel?
Freeing.
Yeah.
It feels free, and it feels like I can accomplish a lot, because it's once if I have 10 things that I want to accomplish, I pull...
And they're all living in your head?
Boom, boom. I pull them all out of my brain, and I put them down there, and then I can look at it, and I can be like, okay, these 4 things are not even important. I can move those to the other list.
Where did you learn that?
Probably a combination of my dad and college and working at a job where I had a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, because I don't even have the thought of opening my phone to look at a calendar, as you know. Like, remember when we talked about, like, hey, Raina, like, we have our to-do list, or we have, like, our day in the calendar. Tomorrow, wake up and look at it. Just, like, one of the first things to do, just look at the calendar. Never, probably did one day, and then that was, like, the only time in the day that I did. I just don't think to do that, because in my mind, I'm like, we talked about it yesterday, I rely on my memory. I rely on the random access in my brain.
Random access memory, RAM.
Yeah, I rely on that, and it doesn't work for a long time at all. It actually does cause more stress, and it's crazy. Like, it's like I know that this is happening. I don't know. It's hard.
It's a habit.
It's a huge habit.
I mean, it's like it's in a way a skill that you have to like develop, I guess. I don't know.
But what I feel like, because you went to school, obviously I didn't. Well, not obviously. I don't know. People probably do know that. Whatever. By now, you guys all know. I didn't graduate from college, so it's like I feel like it was a survival tip for you. I didn't have to survive on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to do it in order to succeed in college. Or maybe, I don't know, like, how did your dad teach you that? Like,
well, the things that my dad taught me, it's like multiple things that I was very lucky to have the experience of. Like, for my dad.
Oh, babe, the mic's not on this whole time. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my gosh. You're dumb.
Okay, go. Dang, I love doing that to you. Shut up.
Hey, the Christian show.
Oh.
Hey.
Sorry.
Hey.
Okay, go.
Okay, so
Your dad.
my dad taught me, or the skill that I obtained from like doing stuff with my dad from an early age was the ability to like just focus in so intensely on something. Because
why did he tell you that?
he didn't tell me that directly. I learned it because I had to, because I was recording in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Like from 7th grade on, I was in the studio with my dad recording, well, a bunch of different things, but it started with these audition tapes that I recorded for these music groups that I was a part of for like all of the young musicians in the county or the state or whatever. So what were you doing? I was recording like a snare drum excerpt.
What's a snare?
Snare drum is, so for the audience, it's the drum that goes.
What song has that?
Higher pitched snare. It's like a marching band sound. Yeah. So like I was a band geek, right? So in band,
you were
as a percussionist, you have to play the snare drum, you have to play the xylophone, you have to play like the triangle, the tambourine, all these different. They call them toys, right? But so in order to audition for a group, you would usually record a snare drum excerpt, a marimba excerpt, which is like, it's a mallet instrument. It's like a xylophone, but bigger. We have the marimba upstairs in the office at my parents' house. Right, so a snare drum excerpt, a marimba excerpt, a timpani excerpt, which are the big drums that have different notes that you can adjust with the pedal. Like boom, 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 boom. Right, those drums.
Yeah.
Like a timpani excerpt and like maybe one other, but it was usually 3 or 4 different pieces that you would record on each percussion instrument. And like my dad being the music producer, professional musician that he was and still is, he would hold me, a 7th grader, to a very high standard. And where it's like, yeah, like 12 years old, like in the studio, like, all right, let's do that again. This is the thing, like, a little bit more, a little bit less, like watch your time. I had to zero in on every single detail that I was playing as a 12-year-old. And so I did that every year from 7th grade through senior year of high school. We would record these. I did it every year for 6 years straight.
With your pops?
With my dad, yeah. And I loved it. It was great. But I didn't realize then, and I know now, I was learning these skills of being able to like really zero in, focus, do it. And then that combined with what I had then experienced in college, where I think my heaviest semester, I had like 19 or 20 units. I was in 4 ensembles. I was taking 3 different sets of private lessons. And then I had like 3 general eds and then 3 music classes. I was like completely loaded with school. And so I had to learn prioritization, because there was no way that I was going to be able to succeed in all of these classes and sleep.
Bruh.
So, I mean, I had to choose and figure out how to like pass, but still survive. And so I strategically chose to fail certain assignments in classes that weren't as important to me. And I think we've talked about this, but I strategically chose to fail in like a GE that I didn't care about. I took an F on a paper, but knowing that I would still get a C in the class, so that I could then do better in the classes that I cared about. And so like that was like decision making that I learned. That was strategizing that I learned. That was time management that I learned.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. I'm like I didn't know it then either, but like looking back on it now, it's like, wow, like those are all those types of skills that I was.
When did you realize like, wait, that was a skill I learned? Like when, like, I know it was after, but can you pinpoint like a time where you're like, wow, I really did learn this skill?
Honestly, talking to you, talking to other people that didn't experience what I experienced, like not just you, but like just talking to people that didn't have that experience that I had. It's like, wow, those are some of the things I learned from going through that, I guess, And
you're like, whoa, this isn't natural. To you, it probably doesn't feel natural. Does it feel natural to you now? You're like, wow.
I do think it feels natural. And, well, I don't know. It depends what you mean by natural. I feel like what's natural.
When people come to you and say, oh, I'm struggling with this. And you're like, oh, you just got to do this. Like, it feels natural to just, like, give that information and give that advice to people. You feel like, does it feel like it kind of comes easy to me? Dang, in this moment, I feel like you just really need to learn this skill. Like, then you got to, like, kind of, like, trace back to your past and be like, how did I learn that skill?
Yeah, I've experienced that a few times, I think, with different conversations with friends or like conversations me and you have had or whatever. But the thing that I wish I could do, especially when I'm talking to like people who Like, I don't know, for other friends who I could think of.
Sorry.
Babe.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
When I'm talking with other friends who are like 7, 8, 9 years younger than us, right? Who are like in a similar, like maybe they're musicians who like.
Mostly musicians, right?
Yeah, but I could look at them and the way that I feel when I'm talking to them about just this type of stuff, I wish I could take the knowledge that has become like ingrained in my heart, and I wish I could just implant it into them so that they could just understand what I now understand. And that's just as like a 27-year-old. Like,
you're 27? Wait, you are. I'm sorry.
It's my life.
I'm the 28-year-old. I thought you were trying to like be all young. Like, you're not 27, but you are. Sorry, I forgot. Not focused. Just kidding.
You're focused, babe. I'm focused too.
But yeah, you wish like, dang, like if I could just give this to them.
Yeah,
it takes some
and
time.
then they could just boom. Oh, it clicks. Like, but
yeah, we all have different experiences.
Yeah, and I mean, it took me, like what I just told you started when I was 12 years old.
Dang.
And I'm 27 now, so it's been like a 15-year process.
Well, that reminds me of the Malcolm Gladwell
10,000 hours concept?
The 10,000 hour thing. Has it been 10,000? What do you think?
I don't know. With what? With like, are you talking about music? Are you talking about like scheduling? You know what I mean?
I don't know actually, because you're good at both.
Oh, thanks. Babe.
You're a great musician and you're just really organized, you know? But as a musician, you need to be organized? Or is that...
I mean, there's plenty of musicians who aren't, you know, there's plenty that are, same thing.
Because they're artists.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, for what I went through with, like, being the son of Ed Smith and then, you know, a professional musician, and it was always, I always loved that, the coaching that I got from my dad. And then with going to school and wanting to do well, and then also just the way God made me, I think, just my like personality, the way that my mind works. Like, I hold myself to a high standard, so I think... What?
Just like, come on. That's awesome, babe.
Thanks, baby.
I'm really happy for you. Because it's hard out here for some of us. Dude.
But I feel like now...
I'm happy for you. I
Thanks.
really am. I'm really glad. I'm thankful that he made you that way.
Thank you. I really do feel like it is a thing, though, where the more... I mean, looking back... Or looking at me now compared to me in college, for example, it's like I have less excuses. So when I slack off, it's like, dude, I feel even worse.
You see how flawed you really are.
It's like the more you know, the more you don't know. It's kind of the feeling.
Seriously.
It's like because I know more about recording, more about music, more about how to be organized or schedule my life, our finances, whatever. Like I know more about those types of things I did then. And then, but it's then that feeling of like I have even less excuses now.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like, well, with the whole like Netflix thing, like going to bed and like that's where you kind of like start the
like,
binge
watching.
watching.
That's my default, or that's been my default. You know, it's like, oh, let me just watch something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what am I doing?
It's crazy though, because throughout the day you're pretty productive. Yeah. You're very productive throughout the day, but then you have like your moments where you're just like decompressing in a way that isn't helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
is there an unhelpful way to decompress? No, what do you think?
I think that, I mean, yeah, like if you take it to the extremes, a really unhelpful way to decompress would be like binge drink,
or
do
eating.
Like drugs or binge anything, binge Netflix.
Too much of something.
Yeah, but then I think a good way to decompress is just like relax. Maybe watch one episode of Netflix. You know what I mean? Instead of like 4 in a row.
Binge reading is terrible. That's like never like something.
No one says that.
No one says that.
I
but
mean,
that's
maybe
something
it is
we
for
should
some people.
You think so?
Maybe there's some people who love reading so much where it becomes an idol in their heart.
Imagine that's like an issue in someone's household.
It might
like,
be.
You need to stop reading.
But I think that like reading would be a really good substitute because I know that there's like so many. Well, I think I don't know the exact studies, but I'm like I know that there's studies that are showing that like the more reading that you do, the more that your mind develops.
The more open-minded and grounded you are, probably.
I mean, the more you
knowledgeable,
learn, the more
well-versed.
You're more well-versed. You learn more.
Yeah.
And then there's all those things about like how CEOs are always reading like 50 books a year or something. Like, Like I'm trying to read like one a year. You know,
you're like trying to read one chapter. You're always telling me, Brandon, you don't have to read cover to cover. And I'm like, I know.
I mean,
it depends on what you're talking about. Because if it's, I know.
That was a trick for college. I mean, some CEOs do that too, I think. I'm not a CEO, so I can't say. Sorry. I was getting out. I'm like, what are you?
I'm not a CEO, so I can't say. I'm just kidding. Hey. Awkward silence, but not awkward.
What was the question though? I'm sorry.
Just being practical and like helping us people who like struggle with being focused. And there's a lot of times where we anyone out there who can relate to my side of this of just like, okay, I'm going to be focused, and then you are for like a little bit, and then you fall off, and then you're just like, dang it. And you kind of deal with like the condemnation and just like the shame about like not being able to succeed with like, you know, being productive. So that's hard for a lot of people. Like it just doesn't come naturally.
I think it's really good. I think it's really good though to be able to, like, I think it's honestly really awesome that you're able to say it doesn't come naturally to me.
It's hard.
Like that's on. Like I mean, it sounds so like cliche to say, but you're admitting that that's
a problem,
the reality, and then you can start from that point and be like, all right, this is where I am, and I know that it's not like I don't want it to remain that way. Like I mean, talking about this kind of stuff, like getting into good, because I was talking about this with our friend Nate the other night about, was that last night or 2 nights ago?
Nate Dog. The night I had chili last night.
Yeah, we were talking about like rhythms of life, because I think really ties into what we're talking about, because like it's like establishing a new rhythm. Yeah,
and I feel like my rhythms aren't consistent, and
neither are mine. It's like I want to, like I don't know, for us both to be able to like establish good, healthy rhythms. It's like, and it starts from like going to bed. You know what I mean? Like going to bed, not on Netflix. You know what I mean? Waking up at a good time.
For me, it's waking up at a good time, or like waking up when I set that alarm, because I set the alarm.
That's hard for me too.
At a good time, and then it's like snooze, snooze. You know, it's like, Rena, it's like you really do feel better when you wake up early. Like that's where it's at. Waking up early and like,
dude, it's all connected. Like sleep schedule, diet.
Isn't that weird?
Prayer,
the simple
life,
things are like what you need to really tackle.
Reading? Are you spending time with God? And then it's like, all right, and then with the time that I'm allotted, how am I using that time? Because remember when we did that time audit exercise
with the Post-it notes.
With the Post-it notes, we did this like 6 months ago, maybe. But each Post-it note was like either an hour or 30 minutes, and you had to break down
from the start of the day.
Yeah, you had to
how long did it take to get ready?
Yeah, you had to break down your waking hours, right? So most people have like 16 waking hours in a day. We broke down like with 16 sticky notes, or maybe some of those were cut in half to 30-minute slots. But we broke down our day, and it's like, okay, so like this many days I'm doing this many hours, or this many hours I'm doing this many hours I'm doing this.
Yeah,
and it's like
it was crazy to see your day like that.
It's a wake up call, because it's like, okay.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy to see. It's like, dang, that's what I'm doing with my free time.
Mm-hmm. Some chilling is good. We need to chill. We need to be able to like unwind.
But sometimes you need to get up and stop chilling.
But you gotta work.
For me, I'm not saying you. You gotta like do something with that chill time. Like, what are you doing with that? Like, oh, you're reading a book or you're watching a YouTube video that's informative. Okay, what are you doing with that informative YouTube video? That's how I felt.
Yeah, like what are you doing with what you're learning?
Yeah, like you can't just be sitting and absorb. Like, not that it's bad to absorb some like informative content, but like, okay, that's not enough. Like, you gotta really kind of like.
Yeah, I think it's bad if you're tricking yourself into saying, all right, I've been doing this.
I learned something.
I've been watching these videos for 2 months now. But if that's all you've done and you're selling yourself, I've been productive, it's like it becomes I've been productive once I take that knowledge and then apply it. You know?
Yeah, you got to apply. There you go.
Yeah, but
you can't like be like a, what is it, like a
crock pot of video watching. Whatever. I don't know if that makes sense. Absorber? Like
no.
consumer?
The verse, the doer. Like, not, you got to be a doer of the word. I mean, I know we're not talking about, reading the Bible, but it's true. Like, you have to actually. It's like looking. Oh, dang it! It's in James. Being a doer of the word, because if you're not, it'd be like looking in the mirror, not recognizing yourself. I have to look at it. Yeah, it's in James. Yeah, hearers. I would say seers. Is it seers or hearers?
Yeah.
But not to only be hearers
don't just
of
be
the
a
word.
hearer, but be a doer.
Exactly.
What's the verse? You
It's
find
in
it?
James, yeah. James 1:22.
Read it.
I'm going to go to the Bible Gateway.
Yeah.
So, what translation is this? Passion. Should I read the Passion? I'm just kidding.
No.
No, we're not reading this. So, James 1:22-25. This is the ESV.
Which verse? Or chapter 1.
Let's read the
verses-
NIV just because it's like more like people will read that.
All right.
So, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Because obviously that James is talking about the word, not necessarily talking about educational content
Or
on YouTube.
Yeah. I could watch all of these different videos from all these different, like, apologists, for example. You're tired.
Sorry, I was trying to hold the yawn back.
You're like, your eyes got all water. You look like you're taking a poop. Like a little, like, baby. So I was saying how like for me, like I was looking at my hours and there was hours where I was like, okay, like I was writing like YouTube
On the time audit
YouTube,
sticky note thing
the
we did.
time audit sticky note. I was like, okay, here's like an hour of YouTube. Here's another hour of YouTube. But it's like, it's crazy because you could, in those moments, you feel productive and you feel like, wow, I am gaining all this knowledge. But like after so much time of doing that and you're not applying what you're learning to your whatever you're doing, like for me, it was like this podcast. Like I have been like, I could have probably started this podcast a long time ago, but I was, like just absorbing as much information as I can, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But just sitting in that and like not doing anything with it, not that it's a bad thing, but like I could have been more productive with my time if I would have just like started,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking because like it all ties together. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm really proud of you, baby.
You are.
Like, yeah. Like,
Thanks.
dude, look at this podcast you have. This is amazing. Like, you're just being straight up. You're being real right now. You're being super honest.
This is a long episode, but like I feel like, well, why? What do you mean? Like,
Look what we're talking about. You're being so like that's
Yeah.
important. Like, I think it's helpful to people to hear because other people are experiencing what you're experiencing and what you've
and
experienced.
that's so weird to think because I'm like, I feel like I don't feel like people can like. It's weird. Like as much as like people tell me that, I feel like, in my story, obviously, everyone's story is gonna look different. You're making the face. Like everyone's story is gonna look different, but it is kind of weird to think that some parts of my story is relatable, Because I feel like I'm such an oddball. Like I'm alone.
You are an
but I'm
oddball.
not. No, but like, like when you're dealing with your crap, you almost feel like no one, like you feel alone. Mm-hmm. But it's weird to think that you're actually not. Like there's just like, okay, so like I was reading in one of the other devotionals I was reading, it took me to Ecclesiastes and it was talking about like there's nothing new under the sun and I was actually telling my coworker that recently because she's dealing with some family stuff, and she was just saying how hard it is, and I was just encouraging her and saying like, you know what, I know this feels like such a like an issue that you can't like. It almost feels like there's no solution, but this isn't anything new. Like it's gonna be okay, and like just ask God for help. I feel like my issues are like so bizarre, so
Really?
It is weird to hear people be like, yeah, like I'm struggling too. Oh my gosh. Like I was just talking to so-and-so about this, or I feel you, like I'm in that same place, or this is what I do to help myself stay on track. So I don't know. It's encouraging to me to know that I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure encouraging to other people to know that they're not alone. But anyway.
And I think people will be encouraged by
Thank
what
you.
you're sharing in this episode.
And thank you for bringing your brains on here because you've learned a lot along the way, and I've learned a lot from you, and I said that before you walked in, just like that. Yeah, all of your tips and tricks on just how to conquer the day as best as you can. Watching you, I'm just like, what the heck?
It's hard.
I don't know how to
because
do
when
that.
We wake up in the morning and it's all cozy in our bed. I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed though.
Yeah,
I don't want to conquer the day. I want to conquer the cuddles.
And I want to conquer the day. I want to conquer the cuddles.
Yeah.
Conquer the cuddles.
Conquer the cuddles.
Oh.
But no, you got to get out of bed.
Get out of bed, guys.
Cuddles will kill the conquest. I don't know. I'm trying to be.
Conquest. Yeah.
No, thanks, babe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for being willing to hop on here.
You're welcome.
And I left it up to you, and you're like, "It's your podcast."
We kept going back and forth.
I know. I was like, "Babe, if you want to come on, like, yeah, just come on." Like,
And I'm like, babe, it's your podcast. Like,
let me know.
you like if you want me on, I'm there.
I guess it's because I feel like you not that, oh yeah, you're in the next room, but like, I don't know, like you're my other half, so it's like I don't know, like you fit into anything I have to talk about because I feel like everything I talk about here, like I've talked to you about it. So you're like that, like co-host that's just welcome.
Resident guest.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Resident co-host. Co-host.
Thanks, baby.
Yeah, you're one of the co-hosts. So
I'm one of them.
yeah, I have like so many. Just
Like 3 other co-hosts. Plant over there.
Yeah.
Table. Cup.
This.
Just kidding.
I don't have any more water.
That
Okay.
reminded me of the episode of SpongeBob. I don't even know if you saw it.
I don't remember.
Where
Everyone
SpongeBob
always
is
talks about SpongeBob.
hanging out
It's like, I don't
indoors.
remember.
Y'all drop it down in the comments if you remember this episode. We had his friend Chip, used napkin, Penny. That's what I felt like I just did with the other co-hosts.
Okay. I'm sure someone will remember.
Drop it down in the comments.
You're all, drop it low, girl.
Rub it low.
Do you guys remember that song? I'll probably get in trouble for playing it.
No, babe, don't demonetize yourself. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're right. I'm on my way.
We'll just have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Lame.
Anyways, we're just gonna end it here.
Oh, drop that beat.
We're gonna end it here. The podcast is over. I'll see you next episode.
Do these work at the same time?
Babe.
Oh,
don't ruin it. Stop ruining it. I don't like when you do that. I don't like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you learned something from this dude right here, my husband. Sorry. And keep me in your prayers. And I'll pray for all of you guys who are struggling with just being focused. Because it's hard out here. It's hard out here. He's embarrassing me and he knows it.
Embarrassing her on a podcast.
You're embarrassed, babe. You were so embarrassing.
Nah, it's cool, babe. They love it. Come on.
You're right. So, all right, I'm not even.
No, you're talking about your dad right now. Or
yeah,
what?
I'm talking about my dad. Okay.
Anyway,
thanks for tuning in. Whether you're on the whether you're listening or watching, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Yeah. Hit me up. Rescue Ray podcast, Instagram.
yo. Peace.